There are not many certainties in life these days, but one thing you can always be sure of is that the British GT Championship will serve you up a fascinating championship conclusion. And this year we are once again back at Donington Park for another Donington decider. Both the GT3 and GT4 championships still hang in the balance, and we've got a pretty intriguing 2 hours of racing, I think, to come later on this afternoon. For now, it is morning warm-up. There is still a fair breeze in the air, but it is at least dry. The sun is doing its best to poke through the cloud cover, and we've got a big grid of 25 GT cars across the pair of classes set to head out on circuit now for their final 15-minute shakedown before the all-important final race of the season a little bit later on. This is one of the cars we'll definitely be talking about a fair bit, the SRO Motorsports GT4 BMW, which is in the battle for the GT4 title. Fastest in qualifying yesterday, though, in GT4 was the Mahiki Racing Ginetta. Bryn Lucas is down there now.
Yeah, I certainly am. If you look over my shoulder as well, Andy, you can see that there are two Ginettas there with Mahiki Racing on. This is a monumental effort, isn't it, Chris? The team have put this car back together. When I peered through the garage yesterday, it was like a Lego set. It was amazing. I know you've got your team radio going on here, but it was an amazing effort getting that car back, wasn't it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we had the whole team here until probably about 1 a.m. We've had parts from pretty much every county in the country here to get that back out on the grid. It's been mental, yeah.
Beg, stealing and borrowing to get the car out on track. It's been a very, very tough time for you the last week or so. I mean, this season's been tough for Mahiki, but you've kept at it. We know you've changed cars from the Lotus to the Ginetta, but this week has been tricky with the GT3 car as well.
100%. I mean, Steve and I were chatting about it last night. I mean, this year's been absolutely abysmal from a impact on track perspective, but if anything, when we see that car go back out the pit lane, it only gives us motivation to try harder next year, you know?
Well, it's been a fantastic effort getting both out there. It's been a tough season, but hopefully Donington brings you some joy here today. Thanks very much, Chris.
See you later.
Thanks, Bryn. Well, one thing Donington always does produce is fantastic racing, particularly when you throw in the context of some championship battles. Joe Osborne alongside me for the duration of the day. You've had plenty of experience racing around here. It is just one of those tracks, isn't it? It's universally loved, and with good reason.
Yeah, every driver that comes here loves it. And it's every sort of corner you want as a driver. As you can see, the 12 corners spread over the 2.5 miles here. And the circuit map doesn't show the undulation. You can see the shot in the background. That's Craner curves. That's turns 2, 3, and then 4 at the bottom for the old hairpin. There's plenty of places to overtake. There's plenty of places to make mistakes.
And what I really like about Donington is that for the first 2/3 of it, it's very high speed, sweeping, flowing, momentum-based corners. And then you get to the Melbourne Loop, Joe, and it's completely different. It's first gear hairpins. It's the quick direction change at the chicane. Makes setup quite a challenge, doesn't it?
It really does, because you need 2 different cars over a single lap, and the overtaking spots in that Sector 3. That was added for the Formula 1 World Championship, of course, to make it the correct length. And you can also see the sky looming in the background. The weather has been a huge factor this weekend. Factor here is a new one. Darren Lung and Nick Yellerly there in a second Blackthorn Aston. A bit of a one-off for them, but interesting to see how Darren goes in a different car to his usual BMW. And actually going on board here, and it is Darren behind the wheel. He's just still trying to get some tyre temp, and this is Sector 3 that you were talking about, Andy. The chicane, the tyre stacks guarding it. Those tyre stacks, we say how heavy they are, they can destroy the car. We've got the first hairpin, the Melbourne hairpin, super downhill, so the braking is affected by that. You have to V this corner off, rotate the car all the way down to first gear. You can see the big number 1 on the dash. We have traffic to worry about, and actually I think Darren is potentially looking to stay behind that. Is that the Neary's car in front, which had a troubled qualifying. Then Darren slows down to try and get a clear lap around this final corner, Goddard's, and you can open the car up, full throttle, pit lane entry on the left, but we're going for another lap. And tyre temp still seems to be an issue here. It's prevalent. He's still weaving left to right, trying to get some heat, trying to understand the grip that's underneath him in this Aston Martin, the number 22 car.
That will be starting 10th on the grid later on this afternoon, but will not be eligible for points. We've got 4 cars in total, I believe. Sorry, 5 cars, in fact, this weekend entered. I think 2 GT3s and 3 GT4s, which will not score championship points. So they're invisible as far as the points are concerned. But, Joe, I do think a few of them have the potential to still be a factor in the championship battles, because whilst they don't score, they're still physically there on track. They can get in amongst the championship contenders. Difficult position, really, for those cars to be in, and for cars like this to be in when you're racing for a championship, as 2Cs Motorsports are, but you've got some very, very quick guest cars on the grid.
Yeah, and you can see the points as they stand. It's this car in shot Dawson and Jewis. They're our leaders. A comfortable lead for a Donington decider on previous data, but that won't feel comfortable if Petrobelli here and Jonathan Adam, a serial British GT champion, Jonathan Adam, and then this car, an outsider, same points as the Aston Martin, tied to the point. Spoke to Morgan Tilbert this morning. He was telling me how aggressive he was without any prompt. So expect this car to be fired up, and we're fired up into turn one now aboard this Optimum McLaren, the 777 car. I love the onboard round here. We're going to dive down through the Craner curve. Should be full throttle all the way down here through the left. You need to now drag it to the left. It's just short brake at the old hairpin. Fourth gear if the car's good, which it seems to be. Sometimes you will see the cars drop to third if they're not happy with it. You can see all the data on the dashboard. Up to fifth gear, 215, 220 kilometers an hour. Now we hit the brakes hard. We've got the car behind because the rear view camera radar is going off. You can see the live delta saying we've lost a bit of time there. Tyre temps look good as well. This is just all the data the drivers are having to deal with as they go around this lap. We get a short chance to relax here on the back straight. This is now the chicane. This is the hard bit because you want to brake late, but if you brake too late, you go in too hot and you clatter the tyre stack on the right, and we've seen that so many times. Damage cars, and sometimes even if it takes a bit of bodywork off, that hurts you for the rest. Now, hard on the brakes. The ABS working hard on this McLaren. Morgan Tilbrook saying he had a problem with ABS yesterday in qualifying. We saw the car lock up. Looks okay now. One corner to go. At the moment, we're half a second up on the best time, which is a 28.4. So at the moment, we should be on for a high 27, but we've gone in deep there. We'll lose time on entry. We'll gain time on exit. The delta agrees. So this should be a 127.9 or a 28.0. We cross the line, and it is a 127.99. Pretty close, but into the 27s. Good lap.
Yeah, second quickest in the session so far, for what it's worth. It's very pensive in the 2Cs Motorsport garage, isn't it? That championship leading squad. This is the championship leading squad in GT4. Century Motorsports BMW, shared between Ravi Ramneed and Charlie Robertson. They are just 3.5 points clear of the Optimum Motorsport McLaren, which sort of dominated the middle part of the season, and were on the cusp, we all thought, of wrapping the title up last time out at Brands Hatch. But these two cars made a tiny bit of contact on the opening lap, deemed as a racing incident. It put the Optimum McLaren into the barrier, out of the race, and second place for the Century Motorsport squad last time out gives them this slender championship lead heading into the championship decider. Ravi Ramneed in the car now, Joe. Absolutely 100% focus.
Yeah, sector 3 for a GT4 car, 35 seconds or so. I haven't seen a single blink yet from Ravi as we cross the line. Still hyper focus. You can see his eyes darting up, down. There's our first blink. 2 blinks in quick succession in the brake zone before Redgate turning in right. Wants to unwind the steering. We've had a couple of bits of oversteer already. The radio wire for me super distracting. Teams decide in the centres easier to plug in and out, but for me as a driver, distraction. This is what the view looks like forward. Actually, one of the monitors there, the V-Box display loose. You can see that blue display slapping her on. That would be a distraction the team on, folks. And here's their championship rivals. It has had every single talking point between these two cars. Yes, the clashes have deemed to be racing incidents, but let me tell you, as a driver, it doesn't matter what race control think, you will always have your own opinion.
And they've got their teammate car behind as well, which is in contention, the number 17 car for the GT4 Silver Championship, ironically battling against the other Century Motorsport BMW. That's a little sort of subplot that we need to keep one eye on. They could also be able to influence the overall GT4 battle if they can assist the 90 car in any way. But Joe, yesterday, early advantage seemed to lie with the BMW, didn't it? The Century Motorsport car of Ravi Ramneed and Charlie Robertson qualifying on the front row of GT4. It was only 5th for car 90. Cause for concern?
Yeah, they weren't happy this morning with their own qualifying performances. They're both boxing this lap. This is standard warm-up procedure, isn't it? We see the teams going through their pit stop practice. That's Charlie Robson. He will take over from Ravi Ramneed. The Optimum cars you can see in the background, they're further down. Ravi Ramneed's obviously coming in, as well as that the Selco car is, isn't it? They're coming in. So he'll hand over to Brandon Templeton. They're going through the full process, it seems. Driver out, fuel, then tyres. There's Ravi Ramneed. There is the Donington problem. He couldn't get into his box because of his own teammate. So they're going to go up in the air. They're going to get the skates under and then slide over. You can see Charlie Robinson in the background questioning that. For me as a team, the pit boxes can be interchangeable. Send your first car long, and then Ravi Ramneed could have swung in behind, but they seem to have their set boxes, as it were, and he's saying, shall I get out? And this is why in warm-up, procedure is important, because at the moment, again, Charlie Robinson not happy. Even there, they're too far away to really start refueling unless they're just going to use the dump churns. Now the skate, if this was a race pit stop, this couldn't have been worse. And that's what the team will be saying, is this is why we practice. But at the moment, uncertainty is the last thing you want when you've got a championship on the table.
There are some people who perhaps don't really see the point in these morning warm-up sessions, and yes, the lap times don't really matter for a lot, but this is key, isn't it? The pit lane is the main centre of attention in morning warm-up, because there's so much that can go wrong in pit stops, and little things, little decisions, as you've just made the point of there, as to where each car within a team goes, that could be a huge factor in the race. Yes, we have minimum pit stop times to stick to, but there isn't a huge amount of wiggle room for errors, is there?
No, really not, as the Porsche Nick Jones and Sven Muller leaves. Currently fastest in this warm-up session. Nick Jones, a hugely competent amateur, a really nice guy on and off the track. He will want to finish the season on a high. He's put so much time and effort into training on track and off track. He's in the best shape he's ever been, and that always helps in the car as well when you're that slight bit fitter. It's just one less distraction as these 1 hour stints come to their end.
Rear-engined Porsche, of course, still very much the only rear-engined GT3 car out on track. You would imagine that this is a car that really loves that final sector, Joe. Some of the high-speed, medium-speed corners, the lack of weight over the front can be a challenge, but out of those hairpins, this car should be strong.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I used to race the 997 variant in British GT back in 2012, I think it was, and it loved Sector 3. You could throw the car in hard on the brakes, the nose would dive, you would rotate the car, you made all the corners into a V shape, effectively, and then you just jumped on the throttle, the rear squat, and it would just go, and it was phenomenal. And this latest iteration, the 992, bit of a slide there from Nick Jones, but he's confident in picking up the throttle, so for sure, the Porsche in Sector 3 are a match made in heaven.
That is the car at the moment that is fastest in the session, by the way, the number 66 Team Parker Racing Porsche. This is the Paddock Motorsport car, which starred in one of the practice sessions yesterday, I seem to recall. Yes, in the slightly damp and drying pre-qualifying session. They were fourth quickest as the conditions started to improve.
Do you think he's been off? There's a fair amount of grass on the splitter at the bottom of the radiator as well, and easy done, made a mistake early on in the session. Looks like Martin Plowman aboard it right now with his very distinctive red crash helmet. This was a car we saw have a slight spin at the end of qualifying, wasn't it, Mike Price? Great to have Mike Price back, very much like Nick Jones, puts a huge amount of effort in, on and off the track, and I hope Mike Price comes back. He's had to miss a few races in the mid part of the season, but he should have the confidence that he's now getting this car towards the sharp end of the British GT grid, which is one of the most competitive domestic championships anywhere in the world.
Absolutely, and the AM drivers in particular, we make this point quite a lot over the recent years, have really had to raise their game in order to perform well enough for their pros, essentially. This is Sam Neary. We didn't get to see Sam on track yesterday afternoon in qualifying because his father, Richard, in his part of qualifying, the first session, had an issue and stopped at the side of the road, just about here at the top of the Craner curves, on his outlap from the pit lane. Never set a lap time, so they'll be starting from the back of the field for the race later on. Sam Neary, though, has just gone second quickest, and this car, in the hands of Marcus Bridger, was going pretty quickly as well, I seem to notice. Had a good sector time anyway on his previous lap, but only actually able to improve to ninth position, Jay Bridger, excuse me, in the Honda NSX. This is a car that we, at the start of the year, Joe, were really interested to see how it would perform, and on its day, it's proven to be fairly competitive.
Yeah, very quick in a straight line, isn't it? And that's where its strength lies, and it seems to just struggle a bit towards the end of the stint, maybe a bit hard on its rear tyres, but phenomenal looking car, and they seem to have got a fresh windscreen in because they've been struggling with the bobbling effect from the screen protector, and for the final round, it's looking clean as the 66 car is off at the bottom of the old hairpin there, and that's going to go red. Oh wow, that's the rear traction. We were talking about how good the traction is in the Porsche. I was about to say that's a red flag because you never get out of the gravel trap, but Nick Jones has done everything perfectly there and used the weight distribution of that engine to give himself traction to get out. You can see the gravel pouring out, but that's an early loss, yeah, way before the apex come in, and the rear has just let loose on him. That could just be old tyres, first time he's driven the car in a while, full of fuel, but luckily for him, he gets out, and hopefully the team will allow him to stay out, get that off his back, out the back of his mind, and crack on. Otherwise, the next time he sits in the car, his race start.
Exactly. You don't want that in the back of your mind, do you? Right, GT3 Silver Am Championship also still raging on. We saw the Bridger Motorsport car. Well, Chun Chong Ip, who has done the full season in that car, is still mathematically close enough to pip the Beechdew Motorsport Aston Martin squad of Andrew Howard and Tom Wood to the Silver Am title. But this car has been absolutely flying this weekend so far. They qualified 5th on the grid, one of their best qualifying efforts of the season, and they went pretty well at Brands Hatch last time as well. Tom Wood in particular, one of the quickest drivers in his portion of the race, so they'll be reasonably confident, I think, that they might be able to hang on to that championship lead. And within the GT4 class, as I said, the GT4 Silver Championship also pretty finely poised. 11 points is the advantage for car number 17 on your screen, ahead of the number 14 Century BMW. But 11 points with 37.5 available for winning the class is certainly possible to see that overturned.
Yeah, for sure. And I was speaking with the 17 crew last night, and they're confident, but they know how quick this car has been as well. And this weekend, it's looked really strong. Both Templeton and Salkeld. It's Templeton in at the moment. They're almost interchangeable with their pace and their driving style, it seems, which is what you want as a lineup. So yes, 11 points difference, but they will not be thinking it is job done to optimum anytime soon.
The Silver Cup cars in GT4, remember, have to serve an extra 24 seconds in the pit lane compared to the Pro-Am runners. That's because, in theory, their pace should be pretty consistent, as Joe was just saying, over the entire 2 hours, whereas obviously there is a gulf in speed often between a Pro and an Am driver in those Pro-Am pairings, so that usually makes things pretty close at the end of the race. It wasn't all that close in qualifying, though, was it really, Joe? Because the 69 Mahiki Racing Ginetta was sort of in a class of its own. On combined times, they ended up 0.8 of a second up the road, and actually they were going even quicker on their final lap, which they then aborted. That car should be strong as, now it's been repaired, should the 88.
Looks brand new, doesn't it? And the car was destroyed in warm-up. Joe Wheeler was A-OK, but the Mahiki team, we spoke to Chris Emery earlier on, they have put so much effort in. They have had the hardest season, and I hope for these guys, this car, which appears to be running faultlessly after a major rebuild, can get all the way to the end of the race and get a result. It's James Townsend in this weekend, isn't it, alongside Joe Wheeler. Ian Duggan carrying a bit of an injury, so they've swapped. And remember, James Townsend and Duggan a few years back having an almighty crash when they were in separate cars into Redgate Corner. So good that drivers can take each other out and still be friends enough to share their drives.
It's one of the fascinating things about GT racing, isn't it? You very often end up being teamed up in the same car with drivers who maybe in previous years were fierce rivals of yours, but you have to put that all behind you, really. Very wide for the Ginetta up at McLean's as it's being chased down by the number 31 Aston Martin. That is the MKH Racing car, Michael Orant and Owen Hizzy, who we've seen out in Ginettas in the past in GT4, sharing that car this weekend. Century Motorsport, though, going along well. Charlie Robertson now behind the wheel. Ravi Ramid had the first part of the session. Charlie will now just dial in the setup in these final few moments. He'll be faced with the checkered flag in a moment or two, but the 71 BMW not fastest in class, but as I said, lap times not all that relevant in the morning warm-up session. Right, Ravi Ramid no longer in this car. He is down in the pit lane now and ready to have a chat with Bryn Lucas.
Certainly is. We're watching you not blinking when you're in the car there. A bit of a distraction with the V-Box. Looked like it had come a bit loose there. That's a distraction. How are you feeling ahead of this one? It's all going to kick off in a couple of hours.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun out there. You know, we're starting in a great place. I've got a car between me and the McLarens, and it's going to be a great scrap, so I can't wait.
We can't wait. Very best of luck.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Oh, it's refreshing to hear Ravi Ramid looking forward to this, but I'm sure underneath the surface there's a fair amount of nerves as he now tries to wrap up the championship. So, morning warm-up then. Fastest car in the end, Marcus Clutton in the Orange Racing by JMH McLaren. Beechdew Motorsport in their Aston Martin, quickest in Silver Am. And in GT4 it was the Optimum Motorsport McLaren, which was the fastest in class as they look to try and reclaim the championship lead in the Donington Decider.